regulars and welcome new listeners to the Reese on the Regular podcast. Today I have my best friend in the world, Jenna, with me. I'm so excited.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenna Depetrillo. I am going into my senior year at URI for nursing, and I am Reese's best friend.
Oh yes, she is. And so we figured, since we're such great friends, we want to talk about relationships today with you guys. Not only friendships, but relationships with family, work relationships, because me and Jenna actually know each other through work, which is crazy because I sometimes forget we both work for the same company now.
Me too.
We're just like such good friends. Relationships with boys, you know, we're getting real deep and just cover, you know, how to have stronger relationships overall in your life. But I wanted to just kind of start by talking about how we even met. So from my perspective, we first met on a trip
At the airport.
that we were in the airport that we were taking to Punta Cana for work that we both had won based on our awesome performance in work. The first second that we both got to the airport, like she was the first person I saw and I didn't even know her. I like saw some other people that I recognized from our company. I saw her. I was like, oh, hey, like, who are you? Like,
It was like we were already best friends.
Right away, we were just like talking about like all the things we were going to do on the trip, which I think is so funny. There was never like an awkward meeting moment at all.
No.
And we just spent like the next few days in Punta Cana and just got so close. It was just a blast.
It really was a blast. Like Reese was saying, there wasn't any of that awkward first time meeting someone like
not at all. We
that
were like, so what are we gonna, what's our gym routine for the week? That's like the first thing we got into.
Planned literally everything from the morning when we woke up. We were gonna do yoga for sunrise,
Which we did yoga.
We did,
and then
one
we planned
day.
like our other 4 days of like Monday we're gonna do chest and Tuesday tries. We only worked out one day of the trip, but honestly, like I'm proud we did that.
Yeah.
And then we did the yoga, which was like so much fun.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. We probably had a conversation, and within 5 minutes, I knew that this girl was going to be one of my closest friends.
Just so crazy. We both met so many other people there too, but we just clicked. Like we just had such a good time together. So I feel like it's really important to recognize who your true friends are. What are some things that you think every true friendship should have?
Friendships and relationships in general, I would say communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number one thing that is really important to me, and also whoever is on the receiving end of that relationship. Whether it be you have a fight with your best friend and you need to communicate something to work it out, or with your boyfriend or whoever, your family members, just having solid communication where you're able to just tell each other how you're feeling, what's going on. I think that's probably one of the most important qualities of a friendship, relationship, whatever it may be.
Right. And I feel like we haven't had many problems where it's like we need to communicate with each other. Like we say to each other all the time, we're like, there's just nothing wrong with you. But even still, like if there was something bothering me like about you for some reason.
I can't even think of anything
I don't know
that
what would.
that would possibly happen.
But if so, like it's important to communicate that and
Exactly.
not just like pretend nothing's wrong. Not only communication, but I feel like supporting one another is another really big quality to have in true friendship. Like if you're competing with your friends, it's not going to be a good friendship at all.
Not at all.
And you shouldn't have any reason to compete with your friends. So if you find yourself doing that, that's probably not the people you should be surrounding yourself with.
And maybe you have some inner reflections to do.
That too. You just never want to be in competition with other people. I agree. I think that does have to do with having like inner reflections and just realizing that you don't need to be in competition with anyone else.
Besides yourself.
Exactly. But just being able to like cheer your friends on, it's just important to be there for your friends and support them.
We can kind of talk a little bit about an example of friendly competition. Right now, me and Reese are in a really big conference push period for our work.
Yes.
And Reese is just, it's not even a competition at this point. It really isn't.
No, because I'm waiting for Jenna's big comeback. Like she's gonna.
I'm waiting for your $70,000 day. This girl has literally sold $50,000 in 10, 12 days. She's been doing amazing.
But so has Jenna, because she's been working her butt off. That's all that matters is the work you're putting into it. The results just come. You're going to have your big day. But see, like, you just need to cheer your friends on.
Yes.
She's not, like, mad at me for it.
Yeah.
So that's just so important. Having those relationships with work people too. Like if you're in a work setting, you want to be cheering on your coworkers. If you guys are both competing or going after a big goal, we've created so many other relationships, not just with each other, but with people that we work with as well. I think it's a really cool thing. We've been able to meet so many people. Like obviously Jenna's from Rhode Island. Like I probably would have never met her. You know, relationships like those can stick because people that are all working towards the same goal, I think, just have similar beliefs with that.
100%. Everyone that we work with, we're all striving to be the best. We all have really high goals for ourselves. And that's something that is really important when it comes to friendships and relationships in general. You want to surround yourself with people who not are better than you, but are striving for more, because it pushes you to strive for more. If you're hanging around with a bunch of bums, you're going to be a bum.
It's that saying that's like you're total of like the 5 people you like hang out with the most. Like it's so true. The people you surround yourself with, that's how you're going to be. And there's obviously people out there who just want to have friends with everyone type of thing. But why do you feel it's important to just have like those few true friends versus being everyone's friend, you know?
So this is something that I am very stuck on. My whole entire life, I've never had a big group of friends. I wasn't ever the popular girl. That just wasn't me. It wasn't my style. I've always been a 2, 3, 4 really close friend type of girl.
Right.
And the reason being is because I feel like you can really just work on those relationships.
Exactly.
And create extremely strong friendships that are going to last a lifetime. Kind of like Cutco.
Exactly.
It's just really important to find people that are your people.
Right.
I think that if you find 1, 2, 3 friends that you really connect with, those are the people that you'll be friends with the rest of your life. They'll be the friends at your wedding. They'll be the friends that you have kids with. I just think that's super important, rather than having a room full of people that you know a little bit about each of them, but you're not really close with a single person, if that makes sense.
I would agree. I never had a really big friend group, and I used to kind of envy that when I would see like some people I knew who had like a big girls like friend group. The truth is, friend groups like that, it's like lots of just talking behind people's backs and competition.
Drama.
It's just too many people to have like a stable relationship with everyone in the group. And it's okay to be like friendly with everyone, but it's like you want to just have those few true friends that you genuinely care about. I would say even in high school though, I did struggle a little bit more with accepting that. I feel like now at this point, it's like I'm okay with having like more acquaintances than close friends. I think that's fine. But in high school, it was kind of hard to tell who was real and who wasn't.
Before I say this, this is just like a small part of this. You can tell a lot about someone from their past relationships, friendships, boyfriends, relationships. One thing that I cannot stand is if, let's say you're talking to someone and they're talking really bad about a friend that they used to have.
Right.
It's like,
so what do you say about me?
Right. It's like almost you kind of get that uneasy feeling. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely times where you have to vent, and I totally understand that. There's a very big distinction between venting to get something off of your chest and constantly just complaining.
Yes.
When people have many failed relationships, you kind of start to think, was it all of the people that they had, or was it the actual person that is kind of causing all these issues? So that's one thing that I would say is kind of like a red flag. Kind of like how we mentioned earlier, that constant competitive, trying to compete with your best friend type of thing.
Right.
If you notice that, you know, a friend is always trying to one-up you, or constantly bragging about whatever it may be that they have or that they want, whatever. Just constantly having that attitude like they're better than you. What they have is better than what you have. I'd say that's another pretty big red flag of this person is probably either jealous or extremely competitive in a relationship, and that's not, you don't want a competitive friend.
No, and you also don't want to be that competitive friend. Like if you really find yourself competing with your friends, I mean, again, it's like an inner reflection thing that you should definitely do. But at the same time, like maybe you're just not surrounding yourself with the right people. If you want to feel good around your friends, you shouldn't have to compete with them. And so I definitely think that's a red flag.
Yeah. Another thing is I feel like friendships kind of just come out of the blue.
Right.
You're not going out saying, oh, where can I find a friend? Do you want to be my friend? No, it's nothing like that. It's kind of like how we met.
Right.
We weren't
like searching in the airport for a new friend.
No. The friendships that come out of the blue like that are sometimes some of the strongest.
Right.
Just ones that you're not expecting.
They're not like forced.
Exactly. That's another big thing, is forcing a friendship or forcing a relationship. When you know it's time to go, you can't hold on. It prolongs the inevitable and it kind of just drags on something that you don't really want to drag on. So once you kind of have those points of, I don't know if I'm going to be friends with this person, you have to have that conversation with them and just let it go. Holding on to things that are just not benefiting you, it's not good for your mental health, even your physical health. You can get tired from dealing with toxic people.
Right.
It's just knowing when something's real versus when you have those inner gut feelings of knowing that maybe this friendship, relationship, whatever it may be, is not really suiting me at this point in time, and I need to take a step back and communicate how I'm feeling with this person. In the end, just kind of letting them know that this friendship is no longer suiting me.
Right. And like, you have every right to do that if that's how you truly feel. And it can definitely be difficult, but if you know that's what's right for you, it's just so worth it in the end. The hard part about it blows over. It's just, you're in such a better place. Did you ever experience just like growing out of any certain relationships, and like, what's your thought on that?
Yeah. So I've definitely had friends over the years that we do still stay in contact, but it's not like you're hanging out all the time, you're having sleepovers.
Right.
And there's certain things that I do miss about those friendships, you know, having a shoulder to cry on, just having those really strong moments in that friendship. That doesn't necessarily mean we're not friends anymore.
Right.
It just means that we both are kind of doing our own things. Like, one of my best friends, she is a coach in the MLB for the Texas Rangers.
Oh my God.
And we've been best friends since the 2nd grade. Not that we're not friends anymore, but she's in Arizona working with an MLB team. I'm in Rhode Island. We're not hanging out a ton. We're both extremely busy. We're not FaceTiming, calling, texting every day. But when we have time to catch up, we catch up. And it goes back to how it was when we were, you know, in 2nd grade. That's probably one of the really stronger relationships I do have, because we're able to stay in touch throughout that distance.
Right.
It's not necessarily how often you see someone. It's just that love and that connection that you have with that person that keeps the relationship alive.
Right. Like, obviously we see each other more often than you're seeing your friend in Arizona, but even still, like, we don't see each other that often because we're far away from each other.
Right.
But like, we could have easily just like let something like that blow over, like not kept in contact. But I think that if a relationship's strong enough, it's definitely important to just keep in touch and also accept the fact that as you're just getting older, like, it's going to happen. You're going to be doing different things and be busy. But if you really care about someone, you should still find the time to check in on them. I think that's important. I definitely also grew out of a lot of relationships. The transition from high school to college was like crazy. You know, me and my immediate friend group from high school, we thought we'd all be hanging out every single day still, but it's like everyone has new journeys and everyone's really busy, and it's important to still check in on each other. But, you know, you have to kind of accept that that's what happens, and it's okay as long as you like leave off on a good note.
I think that's another really important point, is making sure you don't burn bridges. And this is something that I am very passionate about when it comes to ending relationships or friendships. You never want to leave on a bad note.
Right.
Because you never know when you're going to come across this person again. They could be your boss one day. That's like the main thing that people always say. Like, they could be interviewing you one day. And it really is true. And not only for that, but just for personal reasons, it's like you don't ever want to have bad blood with someone.
Yeah, and just like the unsettled feeling.
Yeah.
Getting a little too close to home with this conversation. No, but seriously, like, it's really important to, obviously, if things go extremely wrong, like, maybe just distance yourself. But if it's like a little bump in the road, just to end on a good note if you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, nowadays, friendships are a little bit different with the idea of social media being just such a big thing. And honestly, social media portrays all sorts of things differently, whether it be friendships or, you know, families. So I don't know what your thoughts are on like how social media is portraying things, but it's important not to always look on social media and, you know, see these big friend groups and think it's like something you should have, because a lot of those are, again, just not strong relationships. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that sometimes you can see things on social media and not necessarily get jealous, but kind of wish that's what you had.
Right.
And that's for anything. You see a really nice car on Instagram.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're like, damn, I want that car. There's a really fine line of wanting something and aspiring to have something versus being jealous and craving something
Right.
in an unhealthy way. It goes for pretty much anything. Like you want to do everything in small amounts, even friendships, relationships. Like you want to create certain boundaries, and I think that social media kind of takes instant gratification to a new level.
Right.
To a point where anything you want to see is right there in front of you whenever you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be really scary, especially when it comes to making friends and kind of seeing online all of these big groups of friends going out to the clubs or going to parties. And you're like, damn, like I wish I had that. But reflect on what you do have.
Right.
If you have a solid best friend or two or three, that is just as good as having a big group of
Just
people.
as, if anything, better. And it's also just important not to believe everything you're seeing on social media. It might look like a big, crazy, fun time and like all these friends are just super close, but it's just, they're just out and having a time and that's it. I think just having a few good friendships is more valuable than that. Aside from friendships, I would say obviously every family dynamic is different. But I think it's funny because Jenna and I both have two older sisters. We kind of have like a similar family dynamic. What's something that you feel keeps your family strong?
Both Reese and I come from a big Italian family.
Yes.
And I'd say that one of the things that honestly keeps us really close is food.
Yeah.
Because whether it be a Friday night we're going out to dinner together, or on Sundays we do our family dinners, and you know, my mom or my grandmother will make a big meal and we'll all get together and just talk, eat food, catch up. I'd say that's probably the main thing that draws us together.
Right.
I feel like in any Italian family, food is like your source of happiness, I guess.
It's like I'll be in the kitchen cooking with my mom, and that's like spending quality time together, or just like when the food's ready, everyone's down together in the kitchen having Sunday dinner. I just think it's so important with different family dynamics and backgrounds. Like everyone's gonna have their own traditions, but definitely for Italians, it's got to be food
For sure.
that brings us together. How old are your two older sisters?
So my oldest is 30. She's going to be 31. And the middle sister is 29. And next year she's going to be 30.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And so I say I have two older sisters. Just I also have a twin sister too, who's technically older. So I guess I have three older sisters. But my twin, and then my other sister's 25, and then my other's 27. I could be so wrong with that. I think it's fun having older sisters, people to look up to. That's another thing. Like you don't want to compete with your family, especially either. Just having people to look up to has always been great.
Yeah. Not only that, but you're the youngest.
Yes.
I'm also the youngest. So for me, I got away with a lot more than my sisters got away with.
Right.
And if they're seeing this, they're going to be like, ugh. But everything that they had to wait for, I got a lot faster being the youngest. In a way, it was fun to kind of like nag on them for that.
Right.
But seeing how they experienced life through high school and college, it gave me kind of like a stepping stone and a baseline to see how I wanted to go about my high school and college life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like with my older sister Devin, like I only went to Arlington Catholic for high school because she went there, and then like with college applications, like I would not have known what to do if like she didn't help me out a ton with that. And so I think it's awesome just having an older sister. It would be very different with like an older brother even, I think too. Like it's just we kind of went through the same things and like could learn from each other.
Kind of tailing along the edge of that, I relate more to my older sister in the fact that we're both very school driven. She also went to nursing school, and I didn't necessarily copy her. She's going to probably say I did, but I didn't. I definitely wanted to be a nurse on my own, but seeing her go through it and seeing her get good grades, it's kind of like, if she can do it, I can do it, because we're similar. We have the same blood. I am more similar to her in that sense, but to my middle sister, we kind of have the same bubbly personality. My older sister can be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? She doesn't like people. My middle sister is definitely a people person, and so am I.
I agree with, like, I have some things that are similar with my sisters. In some ways we're just so different. With Brooke, it's like we're so different, but we kind of just like have that twin connection, and just like we'll have twin telepathy sometimes too when we like look at each other. And like with my 2 older sisters also, like there's so many differences there, but just certain things like their drive that inspires me too. That's why I put in a lot of the hard work that I do as well. Something I definitely think can affect the relationship that a family shares with each other is loss. Like when my grandparents had passed away, my family, we definitely got a lot closer. We had to go through that trauma together. And so I know obviously you had some loss in your family too.
I think that one of the main things that you can kind of take away from loss, like you said, everyone gets closer. You know, you really do see what true family is like during those really, really hard times, because everyone comes together to support each other, make everybody feel better about the situation.
You just realize that time is really limited, and it's just important to keep a good relationship with your family while you have them.
I'd say that's probably the main thing, is making sure that, kind of going along to the other just friendships, relationships, burning bridges with friends is a different story. Burning bridges with your family is like a no-no. You never want to, you know, have any type of rift in a relationship with your family member. If something were to happen, I'd say the main thing you want to do is fix that.
Right.
Because your family is the most
your
important
family is
people
everything.
that you have.
Family is everything. This summer, I'm really excited. Me and my family are spending the last week of the summer down the Cape, which is kind of like in honor of my grandmother, because she lived down the Cape like her whole life. And so it's just important to, you know, do fun things like that with your family, spend that quality time with them while you have it.
Kind of tailing on that, Reese is actually coming on my family trip to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
And we're so going to have a blast.
Oh, my God. It's going to be amazing.
I'm so excited.
You guys will see lots of Mexico footage. That's coming up. What is it? Like 2 weeks or 3
August
maybe?
12th.
Oh, my God. Make it a priority to spend more time with family. Obviously, you don't need to go to Mexico with your family or even down the Cape, but like go out to dinner, just spend that quality time with them. I think that's something that as you're getting older, it's like, you know, kids find it harder to prioritize family like that, as if when they were little and, you know, always with their family. And so I think it's something that it needs to be prioritized, and just keeping a stable relationship with your family.
Yeah.
Because in the end, like, you'll always have your family. You won't always have your friends, but you'll always have your family. All right, so let's get into the tea now. Let's talk boyfriends, or just relationships with boys or girls, or whoever it is for you. But we both have boyfriends, so I think it's fitting to talk about that. What's your experience so far?
So
I would say we both have pretty healthy relationships with our boyfriends. For you, how do you go about like maintaining a healthy relationship with your boyfriend?
I would say it kind of goes back to the same thing that I said with friends, communication. If there's ever any type of issue or just something that makes either one of us uncomfortable, or literally anything that's on our minds, we voice it. We've had some issues in the past, and honestly, it came down to us not communicating.
Right.
And what happens is, let's say there's something that's really bothering you, and you kind of just keep it to yourself. You build up resentment, and over time, you know, things start to, you know, show between your love languages. Let's say someone used to get you flowers every single day or once a week, whatever it may be. You have this inner resentment towards that person. You're probably not going to be giving them flowers as often.
Right.
And then the other person is going to notice that and say, hey, what the heck? You know,
where are my flowers?
Where are my flowers? This is just a silly example, but it kind of creates that rift in the relationship that you don't want. It could easily be solved with communication.
Right.
if there was just something that's upsetting you or something that's wrong, just voicing that and letting them know how you feel can really stop a lot of issues that don't need to happen.
Right. And I feel like another thing that has just allowed my relationship to be great is trust. And I think that's something a lot of relationships struggle with. But if you can't trust the person that you're with, it's just not going to work. There's no fixing that.
No.
Unless you can yourself find it to trust that person. If for some reason you can't, either A, you just have trust issues, or B, you're just not with the right person.
Yeah.
If they're not a trusting person, you want to be with someone that you can trust and you don't have to worry.
Definitely.
You know, it should be fun, especially at this age. You don't want to be in a relationship that you're, you know, fighting and not trusting each other the whole time.
No.
It should only be for fun at this age.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One thing that always just I have in the back of my mind is a person will show you their true colors. So I'm going to trust you until you give me a reason not to.
Right.
So that goes for anyone and anything, friends, relationships, family. Like I will trust you until you prove to me that I shouldn't.
Right.
And in cases where someone breaks your trust, I'm the type of person that's like, that's it.
That's
it. Done. If you're doing something to disrespect me like that,
Mm-hmm.
You serve no purpose to me. You serve nothing. You are a zero to me.
Because if they can do it once, they'll do it again.
Exactly.
Luckily, we're both in good relationships at the moment. But Jenna, have you ever been in a toxic relationship, and how did you deal with that if so?
I don't think I was ever in a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my current boyfriend have pretty much been together since I was 14 years old.
Right.
We've definitely had a lot of bumps in the road throughout the relationship, but every bump brings us closer.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of learn how to get better at being in a relationship. When you're in a really long-term relationship with someone, especially one that starts when you are a freshman in high school, there are a lot of changes in not only myself, but in him that we've gone throughout the years. I am not the same 14-year-old girl that I was.
Right.
When was that? 6.5 years ago. And he's not the same person he was either. And you change along the way. And I would say what's allowed us to make it this far is kind of learning each other's boundaries, learning each other's love languages, and communicating. I would say that's probably one of the biggest things. And like I mentioned, the reason why we had all these bumps in the roads is because we weren't the strongest with our communication. And now that's something that we are really, really working on to be the main thing in our relationship that we know how to do.
Right. Like if you're seeing a problem in a relationship, it's definitely worth fixing if you're both going to be committed to fixing it.
Yeah.
But if it's one-sided, you know, you don't want to just be the one who's trying to fix it. And if you can tell that they're just not having it anymore, or they're not trying, it's just better for you to realize that.
I haven't necessarily been in a toxic relationship, but I've seen a lot of people who have been in toxic relationships. And I would say the main thing really is that trust. Like
So
people,
important.
like boyfriends not wanting their girls to wear a certain outfit. And it's just like, what?
Come on.
What?
Like he should be like, damn,
Damn.
girl. Like
There's just so many examples of
Like-
manipulation. Manipulation is such a big thing that happens in toxic relationships. And
just don't fall for it.
don't fall for it, because it's really easy to fall for it. You know, someone at first is like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful, you are amazing, kind
You're
of
the
doing all the
only
things
one.
that you want at first, and then over time you kind of start to see someone's true colors, and it's like a damn kind of moment.
And
You're like,
sadly, like they're the one that's like stupid, but you feel stupid in the end.
yeah, because you're like, how did I not see that? How did I fall for that?
Right.
A lot of people struggle with things like that, and especially when they're in a toxic relationship, people struggle to get out.
Right.
And it's kind of like this revolving cycle of manipulation, kind of just making yourself the victim. That's a lot.
Yep.
What toxic people do is they'll make themselves the victim, put the blame on you, try to make you feel bad for doing something, and it's just a vicious cycle that a lot of people can't seem to break out of.
Right. So if we're not offering great advice because we don't have experience with like toxic relationships like that, just let this be your sign. If you're like watching this and you're thinking to yourself, oh, like some things are kind of aligning with where I'm at right now, that should be a sign to just check in on your relationship.
Get out of there.
Not necessarily, but just like check in on your relationship
Yeah.
and really just be truthful with yourself if it's working out or not.
And I would say another big thing about how to tell if you're in a toxic relationship is have those tough conversations. Their reaction will tell you everything. If you voice your opinions or how you're feeling with your partner and they freak out on you, or they say, what are you talking about? I didn't do that.
Right.
But you did this and you
right.
did this.
And dismiss everything else.
That is the number one sign. So if you have a sense or a feeling or just a pit in your stomach that you may be in a toxic relationship, communicate it, and their reaction will tell you everything you need to know.
And not even like a toxic relationship, but if there's ever just an issue or something on your mind, you should just communicate it right away. Sometimes they just genuinely don't realize it, and that's just like what they needed to hear. But obviously, if they're reacting in a different way, you know, that tells you everything you need to know. So for people who have these, you know, relationships that are kind of toxic or just not working out well, what do you feel is something that has been working out well for your relationship, or just like a good memory or something that you want to share?
So I would say, obviously, communication. But aside from that, is really getting to know each other's love languages. So I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but my love language is not physical touch. I don't like to be touched. Like at night, if he's trying to cuddle me, I'm like, I just don't like it. It's not something that I don't like it.
Right.
And that's his love language. It's been a whirlwind because I've been trying to work on it and getting better. And I think I have been. And on the other end, my love language is acts of service. And this kind of goes into having a partner that really listens to you and understands your love language. A thing in the past that I really, really craved was getting flowers and just small things like cleaning up and helping take out the trash, or just really small things that just make me smile. I do have to say, I've said it once from when we started talking again that I really liked flowers. Ever since, I haven't had a dead flower in my room or in my house.
I love that.
And it's just having someone who just listens. I'm the type of person, I'm not going to say things twice.
Right.
So I'll tell you I want flowers once, and that's it. If you start to not give me them, then we'll see where things go. That's a stupid example, but just having someone that listens to you.
Right. Listens, and just like the little things like that to show that they care.
Right.
Like I appreciate that so much in my relationship. Flowers. I mean, it doesn't need to even be material things, but just showing they care.
A handwritten note.
A note.
Or just a cute text message if you haven't talked to them in a little while.
Shirt.
Reese, Jack, if you're listening to this, Jack made Reese a crocheted top that's pink, and it's the cutest thing.
I'm going to wear it in Mexico, so.
I bragged to all of my friends, and I'm like, Reese, you have to show them this shirt, because it is just the thoughtful things.
Just like your boyfriend doesn't need to know how to crochet.
No.
But just like going out of your way to do something like that.
To learn, to make you a shirt.
Right.
Come on.
Not to put my relationship over anyone else's, but just things like that, memories that I have.
Yeah.
And just things I appreciate.
Yeah.
Overall, relationships can get sticky, and it's just important to recognize whether it be friendships, family, boyfriends, coworkers. Just recognize those relationships that you need to cut out of your life and the ones that are serving you, and make those stronger.
And just realizing what ones are which.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank
I had
you
so
for
much
having
fun.
me.
I could stay here and talk all day long, but your girls got to go back to their sales competition. So
We both have demos like right
right
after
now.
this.
But we're so happy we were able to fit this in, and I'll definitely have you back on the podcast. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed, and continue watching, continue leaving suggestions. We are out.
Thank you, Reese.
Thank you. Bye.